welcome to my channel and welcome to a WiPnChat, and I am still working on Galaxy. Not going to finish today. There's probably 3 hours work here. I have my cuppa, my year 2 Harry Potter mug from Black Needle Society. Okay, with a hot tea. 2 hot tea. Remind me in 15 minutes, start drinking. Alright, going to use my, I don't think you can actually really see it. It's a thin blue line pen from Steph at Patriotic Team. She has been doing pen turning now for, oh gosh, probably getting up to a year now. She may be on sabbatical because her son, I was trying to think of his name, Stephen, is due like any day. Just waiting to hear that news. Galaxy, as you know, is a diamond art club, or if you are new to my channel, it's diamond art club. And yeah, I'm on the bottom left corner, which is just above that coffee cup down there. So I'm going to finish her dress. That's this bit here. And then it will be down to her hair and that last bit of her butt cheek and thigh. We're just going to get all personal up her rear end. Yeah. Alright, now, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. If you would like to support my channel, there are memberships where you can support the channel. There is also Patreon, where you can do a, you know, token payment once a month, or if you want to get my vlogs, they are the cost of a coffee each week, so 20 bucks a month. And you can support my channel that way, but subscribing, liking, commenting is always welcome and shows me your support in action. So hi. So yeah, it's my day off, and it's already 2 o'clock. God, where does the day go? I have been out at physio this morning. Well, I don't know if he's, he said he didn't need to see me again. He's given me some more exercises, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, right, okay. But seriously, I'm in a lot less pain and discomfort than I have been, and hopefully these last few exercises that he's given is enough to get me across the line, and then it's going to be a case of building strength back up. He did ask if I had any fitness goals or anything else, and I kind of went, no, I don't want to run 5k. I hate running. I don't particularly have any fitness goals. I already throw the dog food up on my shoulder. I pick Sophie up on her, you know, she's 11 kilos, okay, so she's a half pint. You know, I still do physical things. I still lump the case around my... Hubby reckons I can run rings around him. No, running is not comfortable.
But that's not really a physical thing, is it?
No, he would be a self-confessed old broken croc.
Oh. I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah. And he's on the pain meds, whereas I've come off the pain meds because I didn't think it was actually doing any benefit to me. So I stopped taking them, and this goes to show that I actually wouldn't need them. So I would have just been putting a load on my liver that didn't need to be there. So, sorry? Yes, but much better to use that portion of my liver on processing my caffeine content. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you understand my...
Do you want a glass of wine, dear, with your coffee?
Not at the same time, no. Now he's just being a smart ass. See what I have to live with? Beg your pardon?
You don't have to.
You're moving out, are you?
Your choice.
Jeez. Wow, that topic of conversation went downhill rapidly.
Oh, yes. Gosh, I mean, I don't want to be a burden to you.
Wow.
I might have to go and have a shower and go and get some beer.
Yeah, because it's the only way you're going to get any beer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You're not going.
No, I'm not going out again.
Oh.
Goodness me. Far out. Just the gall and the cheek of what I have to live with. So this morning, look, we're in the middle of winter. In the next 2 weeks, there will be snow on that mountain. There may be even snow down to my street level, which is 115 meters off sea level. Thereabouts. It's 18 degrees. I don't know what that is in foreign language. Maybe in the low 60s. It is gorgeous. I've just spent probably an hour out on the deck with Sophie and with the dog. And it's just sitting in the sun. I was knitting. I actually did wonder about doing my WiPnChat knitting. And it has just been bliss. It's a little bit too windy. But it's a warm breeze, and it's probably been, I don't know, 6 months since I've actually done that. How ridiculous is that? It's just been bitterly, bitterly cold, and for this to happen on a day off, to just sit, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the kids' company, was just fantastic. She played with her blocks, which are like outdoor Jenga blocks. Kind of. The, cheap, Walmart version of Jenga. Whatever that might be. And she was clapping them together and she was making noise, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't. And then Maka was being all the cuddly, and he's quite a vocal dog. A bit like, we hear Mrs. Coffee talking about her husky. Well, he's a beagle, and he talks, and rawr, and, all that kind of grumbly, I'm a happy puppy kind of noise. So he was getting quite chatty too. So, yeah. I think we all had a nice time. Just chilling and enjoying each other's company. And now the wind's picking up. I can hear it blowing. So I think we came in at the right time. But yeah, it was lovely. Really, really nice. And the neighbour came out and fiddled with her washing on the line. I'm kind of thinking, like, quite often people will buy the house next door kind of thing. I'm looking at their tree line, which obscures our view and has grown up rapidly in the last 5 years. Marcus had cut it down a number of years ago. All bar one tree. Well, now they've all caught up to that one tree. And I was kind of thinking, you know what? If we bought the house next door, we could just take the trees out. And it's like, oh, I wonder what's actually beyond the trees that I've never seen. And yeah, I've kind of come to the conclusion that if I did get my hands on the trees, I probably wouldn't take them completely out. I would just take the tops off them again. And open up the view to the water and not to the houses that are maybe below or something, and keep the privacy. Sorry?
It's not as easy as
well, no, I think I'd just pay a butt ton of money to Jackson and get him to, he's a tree arborist, and get him to actually take it down safely, carefully, and he can mulch it. Yeah, well, I thought you said it was okay.
It was, but you don't just walk in and say, right, we're doing it now.
No, I would tee it up.
That was 10 years ago.
I thought you had talked to him again.
No.
Oh.
No.
Right.
Don't you
Right.
assumptions?
And he might not have liked them when they were chopped down the first time as well.
He said he didn't mind.
He said he didn't mind, but
He was happy with the work.
he looks like he's got a very young bit of fluff. It could be his daughter, but I don't know if it's his wife. Far out, she looks awesome.
I was wondering if she was Ukrainian or something.
She just looks really well if she's his age, and he's not young.
He'd be 70, 80 something.
Yeah, but she'd She looks like she's in her late 40s, kind of 50s, yeah. Yep, I agree. So yes, I don't know her name or anything, never actually spoken to them. Because, you know, hey, full-time worker, I haven't got to know my neighbours much. I know the neighbours on the other side, and their dog doesn't like being left outside alone. She yips and barks quite a bit. So I think she just likes company. She was actually, she's a black retriever, if that, like, think of a golden retriever and paint her black. That's what she is. She's gorgeous, and she was a pound puppy. I don't know how the hell they found such a gorgeous dog in the pound, but there you go. They are out there. Sorry, I have a stubborn bit of tack. Not picking up a drill. So yeah, life has somewhat normalized. I've finished 8 days in a row. Oh, that was it. It wasn't hard work, it was just a long week. And I'm glad it's over. And then I've got a long weekend. I've got a 3-day weekend this weekend, and no, I'm going to be stitching. It's an online retreat with Gilmore Girls coming out my ears. He's going to be moving out this weekend. You, because I'm going to be watching Gilmore Girls.
No! Watch it on your iPad or something.
I don't know if I can.
On your phone then.
No, I'm going to be in the room on the phone.
No.
Goodness me, no. So maybe in the early morning when he's still in bed snoozing, I will watch the Gilmore Girls. But you're never up before 9 if you get to sleep in. Although we were both up at 8 this morning on a day off. It was ridiculous. But he made me coffee, so it was all good. Right. Goodness me. So this morning when I was out at physio, I passed by my local needle workshop, and when I finished, oh my god, let me tell you, the debacle of getting into the damn physio. Oh, good lord. So it's at what's called Rest Point Casino. It was the first casino actually opened ever in Australia, and they picked Tasmania to do it in. So they're doing some work down where you park to get into the health centre. So I drive in where I normally go, and there's fences, and it looks like it's all blocked off. There's no sign or anything else saying walkway or anything else. It just looks like it's all blocked off. So I drive around and end up parking at what's called a boardwalk on one level up. Walk in on this aerial walkway, walk all the way down to reception, because you have to go to reception to get down to the gym. Go down in the lift, go to the door, you need a pass to get in, or a room key, like swipe, you know, tappy card crap. I'm not a member of this gym, I'm just going there for physio. Do you think I can get in that door? No. Back up to reception, back down the front of the hotel, down through the gaming room, which is all the slot machines, little old biddies sitting there on the slot machines at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's like a maze in there. They've got like banks of 4 machines, then they've got it staggered with another odd position, and they're crisscrossed all over the floor. So you can't actually stand on the floor and look and see where the door is. This is all part of the casino psychology. You can't see the door, you can't see daylight, it's all zigzags to keep you trapped. Lights, music, and all that kind of thing happening. Some old biddy came in, staggering with a walker, to, you know, play on the casino things. Jeez. It's just mind-numbing looking at these people and, you know, seeing them just veg out on the machines. Anyway, walk out to the shore side, to where the boardwalk actually is, and walk around the back. Now, there's a bloody great fence there. Oh my god. There goes my 10 minutes that I had gained by getting there early. Back around to reception, and then when I get down to the door that needs the swipe pass to get in, I ring them and I say, can you let me in please? I'm at the other door. And she waves at me across the pool where some old chick is floating, because can't really call it swimming. And she lets me in for my physio session. Good Lord, seriously? And then she explained that there was actually a little walkway around the fencing that they had erected to get into the health centre. But man, oh man, it was just ridiculous. It was just an exercise in frustration. And I tell you what, if you're going in there for physio, you're probably not that able-bodied to go running around like that. Maybe. Oh god, and it was just ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. It's almost like the health centre is an afterthought, and I do not know why this company are trading out of there. I can't imagine it's cheap to trade there as personal trainers and exercise physiologists. It just baffles me. Why they think this is a concern. And the pool is like, I don't know, 2 strokes long. They're probably good because I think Andrew is the cricket coach. Right. They do, I mean, look, they spruik the high flyers, I suppose, and that's how they get them in. So they get them in gambling, and then they also have the exercise guys who can take them out for a run or training or whatever training session, because, you know, they're elite kind of athlete trainers too. Anyway. It was a farce. I was mildly tempted to go down onto the actual casino floor. Mildly. I just do. I did 4 and I missed around her hand. But I wouldn't know what I was doing there, to be honest. I need hubby to come with me on that one. I mean, I know how to play cards, but I didn't have any money. Take me down to the casino. He also needs to take me to a water polo match, because he's got so many war stories about water polo. What? For water polo? Oh, for the gambling. Yeah. He counts cards. Or counts 21. No. The system counts the cards for you. Okay. Anyway. That's another lifetime. I actually have a girlfriend who plays water polo. I should actually talk to her. I don't think she's got injuries like he has stories of injuries. I'm actually going to get rid of the H's. Oh, that's Sophie's song. Yeah, so that was just ridiculous this morning. Really frustrating. Then on the way back, I stopped at my local needlework store. I have a very cunning plan, and I'm actually going to need his nibs probably to harass me on it and keep me accountable. And if you are a cross-stitcher, then please feel free, this is your invitation, to harass me and say, how is my design going? And hopefully I won't procrastinate for a lifetime. Yes. Well, I think I just need to just give it a bloody go. Yeah, I probably need to do some research. Designing it, I think, is the least of my worries. I want to do a design, and it involves words, most likely because, well, I thought there was a lot of words. There may not be as many words as I thought. And I was considering creating my own font for this. And what I mean is literally getting my handwriting and converting it, and then converting it again into backstitch or blackwork or whatever you want to call it, rather than cross-stitch lettering. And I have no idea how to go about doing that. And I have no idea if it's something that people would buy from me, or if it's just a flight of fancy for me to do for myself. It is something that I want to have as a memorial kind of piece. You know, but it'd be kind of nice to have it also as, you know, a model piece, and stick the pattern up on Etsy and say, hey, this is for sale if you'd like to buy it. The words are the easy bit. It's the rest of the design that would be very, very new to me. So it's a thought process, and I would really like to see it done. Now that Dark Queen Sal is finishing up, I have, what have I got to do? I've got to do the heavy beadwork on her, and by that I mean the beads on the trident, her necklace, some of the magic. No. Some of the magic, and then I've got to do all the back stitching on the tentacles, which I haven't figured out what it is, whether it's, I mean, first glance it kind of looks like tattoos, but it's not really tattoos. It's meant to be her essence of magic coming through, and I think I've already mentioned it in a WiPnChat, and I cannot think what movie it was from, that it reminds me visually of this kind of thing. I should find it. It's one of the cartoony movies, you know, where it's almost like the fire burning from within, kind of oil changing color. Anyway, so yeah, I've got to get that done, and once that's done, then I've just got there is no Planet B. I can get back into my peppermint purple and my what is it? Steady thread blackwork. I've really dropped the ball with those. So get back on top of those. Yeah, just maybe create this and see where that goes. I don't have ideas for thread colors. I don't know how the hell copyright works. My local needlework shop chick didn't know how copyright worked. If it's something that I have to pay for. It's not a patent, so I don't think I have to pay for it. I think I just need to have proof that I designed it, and from what I've seen, I need to actually go and look at this. Mandy Manzano, or Mandy Wallaka, is an artist. If you've been living under a rock for the last, I don't know how many years. Mandy is an artist, and her artwork is apparently some of the most copied artwork in China. And she did a video the other day for copyright stuff and telling people how to watermark their work so that it doesn't get ripped off, because I don't think she was doing this originally. Now, I could watermark the bejesus out of whatever photos I put up. That's not an issue whatsoever. It's whether or not then they, well, I suppose if they purchased the PDF copy, I don't even know how to produce a PDF copy so that it might work with Pattern Keeper. All of that kind of thing is way, way, way new to me. But I have worked on some of the designing and spacing and things on a very basic font. That says that you just have to credit the website. But if I'm going to be commercializing and selling it, I would like it to be mine rather than a free or something. I could contact maybe Claire or Dali and ask her. She's the Peppermint Purple girl. But I want to be approaching them as a peer, not as a, hey, I'm encroaching on your space kind of thing, because that's not what this is about. It's about wanting to get a vision in my head onto other stitchers' fabrics, I guess. And I really, really don't know where to start. So if any of you have any hints of people to talk to, please let me know. That would be great. No, that's gonna be more. And tuck that one. Get in. Yeah, it's weird. You know how? Well, maybe you don't. Mrs. Coffee had said ages ago, and this is kind of proof in the pudding with what she's doing, I suppose, now. She had said her pie in the sky dream was to be an artist. Oh, just looking at the shine on that. Wow. You know, she's practicing, she's doing her drawing regularly, and I think she only said it in the last maybe month or two, because she was scared to admit this is what she really, really would like to do. I think, you know how excited she gets when she does an unboxing with Diamond Art Club? I think she would be squealing like a little girl if Diamond Art Club actually produced one of her drawings and her work and produced it as a diamond painting. We would not fail to miss the excitement if that was to happen for her. I think that would be like all her Christmases and any other special day for her. I think that would be so cool. But yeah, I would love to be able to design something. And look, I'm in so many stitchy groups, and lots of them do stuff for free. They also have paid stuff as well. I know for people to do paid things, my bracelet's awfully clanky. For people to do paid things, they often have the model stitchers and all of that kind of thing. I just do not know of any resources like that down here in Australia. So yeah, that would be really, really interesting. At my local needle shop, there was nobody else in the store. I was there for probably 20 minutes, no, even longer. Waiting for someone to turn up. No. Carolyn was there, the owner. And we were kind of chit-chatting, and then I was just said, look, I don't have any money, I'm just browsing. But I did get to see Becca. Now, Sambry Stitches is stitching. She's got a Sal stitch along that she's doing, and it's okay. So if you follow me on Instagram, or follow even Sambry Stitches on Instagram, Becca, Sam and Brie are her daughters. Becca is Sambry Stitches, and she is also one of the team in the common threaded stitcher that you're seeing tons and tons of posts at the moment of these Instagrammers who all have these common threads. And I think she posted it either yesterday or today, so I'm recording this on Tuesday, so it was either Monday the 9th or Sunday the 8th, and it was something to either do with words or people she stitches with, Stitchy Buddies. I can't remember which day it was. And the sal that she's doing is basically this kind of almost inspirational quote for 2021. And it was talking, I think, about change or something like that. And I kind of thought, you know, samplers really don't grab my attention much. I'm trying to find the sampler that is my sweet spot, and so I'm looking at what other people are doing, and I'm kind of thinking, nah, that's just not doing it for me. This one was kind of nice, and I liked that it had the sampler bits, which is, you know, a little bit like Pandemic, you know, with the random samplers, Quaker sampler style, with, you know, random things spaced out on the fabric. And then it had the text in the middle top section, and then it had a block of text down in the bottom half of the section. It's not, I don't think it's very big. I didn't actually see what the size was. But anyway, just in my browsing, and I'm kind of thinking, it's American, I'm not going to be able to get it in Australia easily. Well, my local needle store has it in stock. I think it's a Hands Across the Sea, or no, she was comparing it with Hands Across the Sea. It wasn't a Hands Across the Sea, it was another company. But apparently Hands Across the Sea are like $35 for their kit patterns. Sorry, patterns, not kits. And this thing was $34. No, yeah, sorry. Hands Across the Sea are $50. This pattern that I was looking at was $34. And I'm going, yike. You know, that's kind of expensive. And she goes, no, that's not expensive, and this is what you compare it with. And I was like, okay. I said, either way, I'm only window shopping today. But I can get hold of it, which is, I suppose, my main point. And I did like its sayings, and I did like the images within the sal. You know, there was things like trees and houses, the middle section. So there was a phrase in the center, and then there was another row with houses. There was a church, there was a house, a couple of other buildings, and then the bottom has a big black chunk with white writing, and I think there's greenery or something, trees around the outside. Yeah, it was, I liked it. I liked that the words weren't King James Version. Now, you suppose would have to be a Bible reader for that one. The these, the thys, the whither thou goest kind of phrasing. I hate that kind of phrasing. Now, I know it was a thing. I know it's historical, and I know that's what they used to talk like. Oh my god. I wish, in a way, and I know it's not authentic, they would modernize the words, or the writing. Anyway, oh, I'm just going to put that down, and it was there. It just wasn't flat. Very weird. Yeah, so I was looking at other samplers, you know, these 13-year-old kids who do samplers, and they've been reproduced, and all of that kind of jazz, and oh, it was just, nothing was really speaking to me at all. I did like the red letter ones, and again, this is another thing. I've seen the red letter sampler with like alphabets, basically just in red, and I saw it on Chris Cross's YouTube. I think he's Chris Cross Stitcher or something. He is new to FlossTube. I don't know how long he's been doing YouTube, but he's already over 2,000 subscribers because I think he got a shout out by some of the bigger FlossTube people. I was like, what? Excuse me? Yeah, it was just incredible how fast this guy seemed to connect with people, and get the follows and get the likes and get the watches. More than anything, he's getting the views, and he's funny, and he tells cute stories of life, you know, in the bygone year. He sings, he dances. he's got it all. He's funny. But he was showing and actually doing a giveaway with these red letter things. And I kind of went, ooh, I kind of like that. Well, my local needle shop has them. Now, I hate paper patterns. But they're produced so nicely. And then they're stored in these little Ziploc bags that fit the pattern perfectly. And it's just really cool how it's all packaged. And, oh my god, this was a real boost. I actually flicked through the patterns in the bins and I tripped over Autumn Lane Stitchery, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, I know Aaron and Cassandra, they're my friends. I actually got best friends in paper from the expo last year because there's a cow and a pig and a chicken, and you know, cows are cool, pigs not so much, but the design was all kinds of cool. Oh, and there was a mouse as well. It was all kinds of cute. And I think I have also bought the PDF of this one, but I have got it on hard copy. It's so nicely produced. And yeah, it's just really cool to see, you know, all these, and you know, there's Plum Street samplers and you name it, they're in the store. She does an awesome job stocking all these designers from across the ponds. It was really, really cool just to be able to kind of go, ooh, I recognise Plum Street samplers, and I'm recognising these names, and it was just like, oh, I'm such a groupie. It was terrible. Oh dear. No, it was fun just flicking through the brochures and everything else. She is getting rid of a whole load of pearl kind of stock. If you're in need of any pearl at a cheap rate, yell and I'll get you her link, and I'm sure you could do a deal and get a mass shipment of pearl. Apparently they don't make it anymore. Fabrique or something might be the name. Anyway, she's got drawer loads of these pretty colours, because I was kind of saying, oh, you need to sell these to people who do nail art, because, and I mean string art, not fingernails, because it's the kind of thing that would work really well on string art. It's kind of like a thick, thicker thread without being DMC or anything. It's just a single strand, and variegated as well, so it would look all kinds of cool. And she's kind of going, does anybody do that anymore? I said, well, I did some last year, but do you think I could find my picture of, it's up behind the hummingbird now, but do you think I could find my picture in my phone? No. So I couldn't show her my string art that I did with my gorgeous yarn from Darn Good Yarn last year. I actually did it November 2020. Because I found the picture of, or the video of me recording painting with Sophie, but I could not find the finished item in the photo album. It's a little bit frustrating. And then we got talking about our local Stitchy retreat that's happening in October, and I hope to God it still happens, because COVID is going mental on the mainland. We're all waiting for it to break out down here. I'm not quite sure how it's going to break out down here because they're being so strict with the border controls, but we have got a few knuckleheads coming in.
They're not being strict, it's just we've got a bigger moat than anybody else has.
Yeah. So yes. But we did get Delta coming in, but the moron who tried to flee from New South Wales got held up in quarantine because he was trying to manually get through, manually trying to cross the border illegally. No. So he was thrown into quarantine, tested, and the test came back positive for the Delta variant.
But before before he got the result.
But before the result was given, he was actually booted back off the island going, "You're not authorised." He's left, sorry.
He released himself and went back.
Well, he's chosen to leave.
And that's a bit of an oversight that they've decided to clear up now.
Anyway.
Because once you've been tested, you're supposed to wait for the results.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so he flew down and then flew back. He had 3 flights or something that he had been on. So, yeah, there was a lot of people he could have come across in the process. Which makes me just, I don't know, I'm just bemused, completely and utterly bemused by arrogant people who think it doesn't matter. Just come into a state that's got the oldest population in Australia per capita.
As the Health Minister of New South Wales said, you can't make stupidity, arrogance, and whatever else the other thing was, you can't make them illegal.
Right. So you can't make stupidity and arrogance illegal. It was just ridiculous. And then, of course, Melbourne had protesters the second weekend in a row, where the first weekend gave them at least 29 cases of COVID. New South Wales are not getting a lid on it at all, even though they've got lockdowns. More and more areas are going into lockdown because they're well into 330 plus cases today. Yeah, it's just mental, absolutely mental. And the attitude, of course, worldwide is, well, it doesn't affect me, so fuck it. Yeah. Whereas, you know, the north of the coast, north of Tasmania, went into lockdown and, yeah, just sucked it up. And I don't know, I guess being rural also helps. And yeah, we only had to do the 1 lockdown so far. Maybe, you know, if we get 3 lockdowns in, we'd be a bit more blasé and not doing it, but yeah. We've been very, very lucky, and my word for today is what I have learned in this year from the pandemic. When we had the lockdown, I still had to work because I'm an essential worker or in that field. Wasn't in a position where I could work from home. So I was in the city. Excuse me. Runny nose. Again, filming. I was in the city when the city was silent, let's say. And it was eerie as hell, with nobody walking, nobody driving. And it was really, really unsettling for me doing that, just being out. And I mean, I've seen it quiet on Sunday mornings, early Sunday mornings, it's always quiet too, but this was a different kind of quiet. I keep missing these bloody hourglass. Yeah, it was just eerie, a different kind of eeriness with the lockdown happening. I think at that stage, the only things that were open were supermarkets and yeah, everything else was closed. Yeah, and I think I took photos for prosperity, because you know, it's always important to take photos, I think, of what we think is everyday life. Because, okay, we had, Myer is, well, it's a department store in Australia that's like David Jones would be on the mainland, or Macy's, but it's not as big, but it's got that kind of ilk. In Ireland, the equivalent would be Switzer's. Now, okay, they don't do a big Christmas window. If you live or travel up to Dublin for the Christmas windows, they always used to be a thing that I'd go into the city for in Dublin at Christmas time, were the Switzer's windows. Don't know why. Switzer's, Brown Thomas, Myer is, you know, there. I don't know if there is a Myer in the States, but it's a high street department store, you know, with that upmarket kind of clientele kind of thing. You know, the kind of thing that you would see in all the movies with department stores, you know, with all those multi-brand fashion items, you know, with all the designer items in it, the makeup sections at the front, you know, all of that kind of, not your Target, not your Walmart, your, you know, upper class kind of store. Well, geez, I think it must be about 10 years now. The store burned, and the store being burnt blocked the streets, and in the media afterwards was, you know, this was big history, the Myer store burning down. We had a crater in the middle of our city as a result of this store burning down, and the store across the street from it was there was a TV store, like just a Coogan's kind of thing, had TVs in the front window. The window broke or melted or something, and the TVs across the street melted. The heat was that extreme. And these were all immortalized by people taking photos of the everyday stuff, of the fire scene afterwards, the quiet streets. This thing was boarded up for maybe 2 or 3 years, and we, you know, you get used to it's just boarded up for the 2 or 3 years. You know, it becomes normal, but you've got to look back and kind of go, oh, I've got that photo of such and such. Oh yeah, that was that event. You know, a bit like, you know, God forbid, the 9/11 disaster. Those photos of the Twin Towers are immortalized, and you know you're looking at an old movie if the Twin Towers are in it. You know, and they do strike that kind of, they call it hiraeth in Wales, and it's this nostalgia kind of gut feeling. Yeah, it's just capturing the everyday, and I think because it's the everyday, it gets overlooked. So you miss the interactions between, you know, friends, and I don't know, you might kind of think, oh no, I'm going to see them again tomorrow. Well, someday you're not, and someday you're going to someday you're going to miss them, like I miss my mum. Someday you're going to go, I wish I had a photo of so and so, they really meant a lot to me back at that stage. You know, have you ever gone through your old photos that you took as a teenager and you're reminded, or you're brought back to that time? It's that kind of feeling. So I would encourage you, and this is something that the photo a day kind of thing encourages, is just taking a photo. It doesn't have to be amazing. This morning I vlogged, and I actually sat outside, put my scarf blanket around my legs and drank my coffee outside and pointed the camera at the sunrise because it was gorgeous. And I just took a moment and drank my coffee, jabbered away to the camera, and sat. And there was a couple of times, I know, when I was recording and I just went, oh my god, just look at that. And I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, but my eyes could pick it up. And there were these wispy clouds getting caught in the sun rays, and the color was just gorgeous, and it was just a moment of being, a moment of resting in the here and now, and it was really, really nice. So yeah, taking a moment for the everyday, for what we take for granted. I mean, we shouldn't have to take ugly for granted, but there are photos that may not exist. Sorry. There are photos of things that may not exist in 50 or 100 years' time, because there is this shift in mentality going, we're no longer going to do it this way because it's bad for the world, it's bad for the environment. Now, okay, I'm going to get heavy now probably, and I don't know enough of what I'm talking about, but I do want to find out more. The committee of poobahs have basically got together, and in the last couple of days they have released their findings on environmental harm on the global basis. Hubby came out to me this morning when I was out with Sophie, and he said Scott Morrison has just got official and said, of all of the harm that's being done in the world, China makes more of it than the rest of the world combined. That's harming the world. And it was just like, so if we're told humans are the reason for the world killing itself, global warming and all that kind of thing, if humans are responsible for that, and I change what I do and Australia changes what it does, if we're dealing with China and its selfishness, we're never going to get across the line, because they're going to pull us down all of the time. We need them on board, basically. But it was like, oh God, what am I doing that is pulling down the environment? You know, am I recycling? Am I buying junk? Am I damaging the environment by what I do, what I buy, what I drink, what I, you know, all of this kind of thinking. And this is where my reluctance to get into diamond painting came from. Initially, it was like, I'm buying all these little chips of plastic, you know, there are hundreds of thousands of these drills on my canvases in my containers here behind me. How am I helping the environment by pouring into this industry that produces this? China, producing plastics, resins, and it was just like, oh, right. And to some extent, it's, you know, okay, it's a good excuse. I've got to use my stash. I've got to stop buying. But what we don't understand, and I'm not fully au fait with all of this, but, and if you know the information, please help with my education process. Apparently the cotton industry, while we think the cotton is a natural plant, product, producing cotton actually uses a colossal amount of water. Now maybe it's just where it's being produced. Maybe it should be produced in countries that are wetter. I don't know. But you know, we've got We. There are cotton plantations all across the states. They were run by the slaves. I don't know who is producing the cotton now, whether it's ethically produced, whether it's organic cotton, what it takes to produce that cotton as a resource. I have bought bamboo sheets because bamboo is a sustainable crop. You know, the dyeing process for making colors, for instance, DMC colors, you know, I don't know that it is renewable. I worked for Bayer back when I was 16. It was my very first paid, no, might not have been my very first. It was one of my first paid jobs. And I would order on telex machines from Dublin the dye lots for Fruit of the Loom, and there were carpet companies as well that used to do it, Red Carpet maybe. But I used to order in the dye for Fruit of the Loom into Ireland or wherever it was going. Send the order over to Germany. Now, if you know anything about Bayer International, it has a circle and a cross, and the cross has B-A-Y-E-R spelled down and a cross, and it looks like a pill, basically, like an engraved pill. Bayer Pharmaceuticals do medicine worldwide. They make sunscreen. They actually make one of the best after sun milks ever. I don't know if they still do it. It was amazing. It was one of the ones that I could actually use that I wasn't allergic to. And they do a huge range of things, and they are based in Germany. So I think it's Bayer AG. And they have a whole town that is theirs. And yeah, there's a whole industry behind the chemicals that are produced and the colors that we take for granted. And I think we've forgotten how to be kind to the world. We've forgotten. Okay, this is at the back of my head here, but we've forgotten the natural crafts of herbalists, for want of a better term, because this is what they got called, the witches, for making their brews and their potions from herbs, from herbalism, from dyeing yarn, from dyeing fabric, from manufacturing fabric, from spinning wool. We've kind of forgotten all those home crafts. And I think to some extent we're now reaping the crimes of that. Now, I don't know what the answer is, because, you know, I don't know. Needing more sheep for more wool production puts a huge tax on the land. We can see it. You don't hear enough about the stories of people who have turned around the land from being dry, dusty, barren to being an oasis, although I have seen an article on some guy who did it. He basically is said to have completely revolutionized parts of the top end by running cattle, or particular kind of cattle. I think it's the there was a particular kind of cattle, because it's got a particular hoof print that doesn't damage the earth and the soil like domestic cattle, for want of a better term. And I think it's more like a water buffalo-y kind of cow, like a Brahman kind of thing. Big hump on the shoulder or something. He apparently ran this breed of cattle on the ground, and as they cleared through this area, behind them the land rejuvenated itself. I think he's done it in Africa as well, but you don't hear of these in broad media. Like, we don't hear of anything but COVID these days. You know, it's media saturates, and to try and then find this information is really, really hard. You need to be really resourceful. You need to be very, very conscious of what you're doing, conscious of what you're searching for. And even then, you could be dismissed by rumors and fake stories and things like that. So, you know, I was joking this morning, like, Marcus's dream home is what he calls a double brick log cabin. Now, in my mind, the two don't go together. I don't know where his brain is at when he talks about this double brick log cabin. I get the log cabin, I get the double brick. I'm not into the double brick whatsoever. Happy to have a log cabin, happy to have... What? Sorry? Yeah, he's saying double stone. I can do straw bale and I can do log cabin. The double big brick thing. Oh god, it just confuses me. It's funny as. That's, you know, his pipe dream. Now, the idea of being able to build actually scares the crap out of me. I would not know where to start. I would not know where to start with designing. Actually, I do know where to start. I would like to start on Lego. I do have some ideas. The house that I used to live in was designed by a guy called Cameron. And he built the house, and then he sold it, and he moved into the garden shed. It's the size of a house. He moved into the shed in between the two houses and then built the next one, slightly differently. But one thing I loved about the house that we ended up buying was the fact that the kitchen was in the center of the living space. The dining space was outside of the kitchen. The kitchen had this raised wall around it, and it was like a galley kind of kitchen. It was long and it was skinny. Now, if space permitted, I would do it a little bit differently. But there were some aspects that I liked being able to be in the kitchen, but could look over the bank of, over the wall, and I could watch TV with the kids. I could chat with the kids. There was a breakfast bar on the other side of the wall that I could chat with the kids doing homework. They could be on the dining table chatting to me, just hanging out or whatever. I liked that central flow of feeling. I liked the cathedral ceilings that were, you know, in line with the roof. I've got that in this house too. I was a little bit bemused when I came to Australia with the whole parents sleep separately kind of thing. And the parents' bedroom was actually above what we called the dining room. It was a formal dining room. It was freezing cold. It didn't have any heating in it, so it was rarely used. It was what I used for ironing. It had a spare couch in it. It had the dining table that had, you know, 8 seats on it kind of thing. But it was rarely a room that was actually used regularly. It didn't have the fire in it. We had an open fire because of how this double brick stone wall was built, and it protected the fireplace, so you could be in the room with the roaring fire, and it was cozy and it was warm, and then the rest of the walls outside were just glass, so you had the open view. So that appealed to me. Floor to ceiling glass, it's amazing. If you have the view, it's amazing. The whole kitchen or long kitchen, I thought worked with potential, but the hallway was really, really wide. Now, I was able to use it because I had bookshelves up in it, and we had paintings along the walls. and got to enjoy my artwork, whatever, you know, paintings, photos, all that kind of thing. My ex had ship photos, and the ship photos always went up on the walls. Well, not in this house. He was banned from putting the non-mutual ship photos up on these walls after the last move. So instead there were large paintings, you know, I think there was some geography paintings or something from Ireland that he had been given, like it showed the local rock formations of Ireland. It was huge. It was like an A1 poster in a frame. But when the family had moved over from Ireland, we shipped an awful lot of our pictures, and visual links to Ireland was always very important to me. So having maps of Ireland for me was part of home, and it was also a way to kind of educate the Aussies who might come into my home, and you know, they could look at a map of Ireland and kind of like, oh, where did you live? And this is where I lived, and that kind of thing, and this is the shape, and you know, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, having walls for the artwork was really important, and I would like that kind of gallery space again. I did always want a wall of bookshelves. I never got it. I had these individual bookshelves. There was a plan to put bookshelves in here, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. But I would love to have a floor to ceiling wall full of my books, or display items, or whatever. So I need walls for my creating, for my pictures, for my paintings, for my cross stitch or diamond painting. I need floor to ceiling windows with the view. A retreat for Sophie or friends would be good. Friends. You know. So they're kind of like my chocolate box list of what I would like in a house. Oh, all your friends are going to come. Cool. But? She's getting a bit confused maybe. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, whether or not I get this chocolate box house, I don't know. I did view a house when we were house hunting at one point the previous week. That was not in a good spot. It was in a spot that got snow every winter. It's called Collinsvale. But the house was designed with mud bricks. Sustainable. Mud bricks that the owner had built herself the previous couple of summers or something. And there was a cartwheel, and I think I've told this story. There was a cartwheel in the house downstairs as a window, and she had stained glassed this series of pictures in this cartwheel. So you can think of all of the spokes filled in by glasswork. It was just amazing. The stone flagging on the floor, the mud bricks were, you know, 2 foot by 1 foot kind of size. Everything was just extra large. It was just incredibly visual. It was amazing. Now, the reason why the house wasn't bought was because it was a work in progress and they didn't actually have a working bathroom, and I did not even know where to start. Now, I would have found out pretty quick if the house had been bought, but it wasn't. I think we got talking with the locals and they all went, don't buy in Collinsvale because of the winter. We would have been trapped there every winter. Snow on the roads. We would have been stuck there for a day or two. Personally, it probably wouldn't have bothered me that much in reality, because when I was up in the mountain village Ferntree, we got snow every winter there as well. And it was really nice having a snow day. But then I wasn't having to work or trapped up there where I couldn't get out, and people would come up to the snow to play, and we didn't have to worry about parking. We just could walk straight from the house and things like that. I did like that suburb, but I couldn't get my washing out because it was always in a rain cloud. One of the drawbacks of having, you know, snow altitude. Yeah, no washing on the line. I had to tumble dry my clothes constantly. It was crazy. Somebody, I think it was in Tasmania, there was an article in the paper that they were getting stuck by red tape for building a house. They were trying to build a tiny home. They wanted a tiny footprint. It was 7 meters by 5 meters. That's the extent of the house. And it had a loft upstairs. And part of the red tape is a home, no matter what the size, must have 3 sinks. I'll let you think on that a second. It must have a kitchen sink. It must have a bathroom sink. Those kind of sinks make sense. For some reason, it's compulsory in Australia to have a laundry trough, a laundry sink. Which made me think of Ireland and my 9 square home, which is 9 meters squared or something. Oh, why am I doing that? I need them. Anyway, meter squares are, anyway, I'm talking meters, 9 square meters, right? The washing machine lives in the kitchen in Ireland, and it probably lives in the kitchen in Cals too, because Wales was not so different from Ireland. And your washing machine does not have a separate room. But in Australia, even the Housing Commission houses are all built detached on a block of land. Whereas in Ireland, England and the UK, you might get flats, you might get joint houses, you might get terraces of 6. Yeah. Here, you can be on the poverty line in Housing Commission houses, and you are on an individual block of land with a 3-bedroom house. And, what?
With grass.
With grass. And a shed. And, you know, brick and tile or brick and tin roof. I think a lot of them are brick and tile. They're utilitarian. They're small. They've got open plan lounges, kitchens. And these people who live in them would be getting the dole, getting employment benefit, if you can call it that, unemployment benefit. A lot of them would be on disability pensions because, I don't know, they can't write, they might have epilepsy, and some of them even apparently get it just for saying that they're depressed.
It's a lot harder to do that kind of thing these days.
Sorry? Marcus says it's a lot harder to do these days. I don't know. I think some of the excuses for some people being on disability is way too lax.
The amount of crap you've got to go through to get on that sort of, you're talking about the disability pension.
Yes.
It's not as easy as it sounds,
Mm.
and you've got to be reassessed every couple of years.
Yeah, so every 3 years you've got to be reassessed, just like I have to be reassessed because I get paid a carer's payment for Marcus. But even still, it still amazes me sometimes the answers that I've heard that you get disability for.
You're going on rumour, I'm going on personal experience.
Yeah, sure. Marcus never had enough points on any of his particular ailments to get across the line, so he had to amalgamate his. And okay, I'm only hearing the short stories, but yeah. So anyway, regardless, the Housing Commission houses are actually, you know, palatial mansions that are taken for granted here, whereas in Ireland and England, they are shoeboxes. They don't have a garden. And you'll have a ton of kids in them. You'll actually get people here who might have 6 kids, and the council will actually buy a house that is like a 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom home to house those poorer families in. It's just like, what? It's almost like paying them because they've had kids, paying them because they've bred. I know it's probably not going to be a popular opinion, but it's not because they can afford those kids. It's because they can't afford them. I don't know. It just baffles me. But they are very, very privileged and don't realize it because, you know, they might not have the money to travel and see what the world lives in. Marcus had played a video the other day of 2 dudes, and the kind of clincher on this was building a $1 million pool in, I don't know, it was a water park. These 2 guys building a water park, and they're, I don't know, Indonesian maybe. I don't think they were Indian, but certainly ethnic. Malaysian, maybe Malaysia. And they had mattocks and machetes and a hoe, and they just dug in the sand.
And maybe a couple of pots.
Oh, and sorry, a couple of wicker baskets that they put the dirt into, and they were literally, and a shovel, and they would shovel into the dirt and they would fling it up out of the pool. And they created, it took them 270 odd days to make this hole in the ground and make this pool. Now, I don't know how they would have cleaned the water. Who the hell's paying $1 million? Yes, it was gorgeous at the end of it. It was funny as all hell as they had the whole thing sped up, and when they started talking to each other, it's just, you know, chipmunk speak. Yeah, so they were making dinner and sharing it, and you know what they were doing? They had a banana leaf. They made some sticky rice in a pot, and they had the open furnace burning their fish in some sticks, and it was all basic as all hell. There's videos out there of this chick who will build an underground house. There was some other Chinese dude who hacked a house out of the rock, hewn out of the rock. With, actually he had quite fancy tools. By golly, he was a pig when he moved in though. It's just crap everywhere. He did a good job with the house, but it was just like clutter. You know, you actually hear of up in Alice Springs, Cooper PD. I think most of the people up there actually live underground because it's cooler, because it's 50 degrees on a cold day kind of crap. They actually live in mines. In Cooper PD, they actually just go straight down for the opals, and then once they've drained that hole dry of stones, they bugger off and dig a new hole straight down. And they, you know, they don't go left and right. They just go straight down. Yeah, they mine their opals that way. But they have then got these people who have dug out these holes and created homes underground. It's all kinds of cool. The inventiveness of people. Yeah. That would be maybe a bit more sustainable. Then, you know, double glazing. My house, my old house, did not have double glazing. Its windows used to flex in the wind, and every big wind, I was terrified that the windows were going to go and break on us. It was bad enough that every rain I would be out with my wax jacket on a ladder, emptying the gutters of whatever crap had gathered in there while it was pouring down. My akuba on my head, my wax jacket on, trying to keep me dry, and fishing into the the gutter to try and clear it so that we could actually catch the rainwater, because the water was actually going to break the gutter it was spilling down with such horrendous force. It was incredible, some of the rains that we had. And again, yeah, I mean, that was rainwater collected off the roof. That was another nice touch. I did like that. I think solar power would be a thing on the bucket list, even if it was just for a particular function. Whether it was just for power or just for water, you know, trying to use the off-the-grid kind of stuff. It's not easy to find out the information out there, though, on how off-the-grid you can go. I did read somewhere that you weren't allowed catch rainwater in certain states, and I think that's America as well as other countries. It was actually illegal for you to catch rainwater, even if you're using it in the garden or something. And I did not understand that. I know there are provisions here for catching rainwater, and you've got to have your spill off so that it's not going to affect people effectively downstream of the water catchment thing of the dam. If you have a dam, the house was on a grey water tank. I mean, the only thing we had plumbed in was power. And we didn't have much problem with the power going out either. We had a few trees that would take out the power on a big storm, and that would reflect then on the toilet not being able to run or the water not being able to run because that was on a pump. That kind of thing I would like to maybe work on efficiencies. Don't know that I would want a generator. But I would certainly like to work on efficiencies in the system. So maybe have like a gravity fed water flow if the power went out. Yeah. But being sustainable to the point where, you know, we're not buying in electricity, that would be good. I wouldn't care so much. There was a scheme that you could be a part of that I think they've put a stop to now, where you could be on solar power and then you get paid to feed power back to the grid. I think they've done away with that now. Marcus does a fair bit of research on stuff. And yeah, so it wouldn't bother me if we weren't getting a lot of money back. Some would be nice.
Well, I think there are better ways of doing it.
Better ways of doing what?
Well, instead of selling it back, just use the energy to charge something.
Yeah, so Marcus is talking about getting an electric car, you know, ultimately, and
rather than giving all your power away, just store it and rely on other people's power less.
yeah. Yeah, just little kind of changes, I suppose, like that. I mean, yes, I understand buying an electric car is not exactly brilliant for the environment if it costs that much to produce the power bank, produce the manufacturing and all that kind of thing. But as I said to him jokingly, when the world starts floating 2 meters above what it currently is, where are we going to put the horse? And he's kind of going, horse? I said, yeah, horse, cart, saddle, you know. And he's kind of going, I ain't riding no horse. You know, and the reality is, would I, at 50 plus, ride a horse, ride a cart, whatever? You know, would we go back to the old Amish ways kind of, you know, thing that we know nothing about?
I still remember how to ride a horse, my head is full of.
Yeah, Marcus's back just wouldn't be able to take it. So it's all well and good having these, you know, almost fanciful dreams. But the reality is, could we make it work? I don't know. I honestly. So he was talking about having an electric bike, you know, and electric car. But you've got to be within range with those kind of things as well. Of places that you want to go to on a regular basis. I mean, I don't produce food. I don't have chickens anymore. I'm living in suburbia, for heaven's sake. I don't have chickens anymore. My next door neighbours do have chickens. But yes, I would get back into chickens, but I work full time. And okay, they didn't need an awful lot of care. They probably could have done with more care than they had. But I did pretty much leave them to their own devices. You know, I went out and fed them every day and gave them water every day and all of that kind of thing. Checked on them, talked to them. You know, that doesn't bother me. Can do chickens. Wouldn't know where to start with a horse. Well, I would. It's just been an awful long time since I've been riding. And certainly never owned a horse to know what I'm looking for. I mean, everything can be YouTube these days, but it's still not the point. And, of course, a riding horse is different from one that hauls a cart or ploughs a field. Not that I'm looking at animals that are going to plough fields. That would be weird. You know, but I don't know how to make sustainable crops and don't have trees that have the fruit or anything like that. That, you know, I guess would be something that we could work on. Because there is certain fruit and veg that we always eat. You know, love particular kinds of apples, particular kinds of pears. Yep, would buy them in a heartbeat as a tree and grow them. That kind of thing. Have not been able to store them properly though. And I know we only need like one of each. We had a tree, an apple tree in Ireland when I was a kid in the backyard, and I swear it was cooking apples. They were the worst apples ever. It was a weird variety. They were large, heavy green skin, like a Granny Smith, but by golly, they were sour and mushy. And when they did get ripe, and it was a weird tree. But we had the best plum tree ever. We had Victorian plums. The wasps used to love them too. They were so sweet. What else did we have? Dad grew raspberries, berries, currants, you know, that kind of thing. We'd go picking blueberries up the mountains. I think they're frockens. Or wild bilberries is the English term. They're tiny, tiny little currants. Blueberries. Sorry, not currants. Currants are currants. Blueberries are blueberries. But we would pick them up in the mountains in Wicklow. We'd go up every year and pick the bilberries. We would pick blackberries every year up in a place called Lahanstown. It was just a bramble patch in the middle of the cow's field, and there was a couple of ways we used to get into this farmer's land. I don't know what the story was, whether Dad had permission and knew the farmer or just asked the questions, or what the hell it was that ever gave us this access to this dude's farm every single year. But we would go without fail, and then he would make his jellies and jams. I loved his blackberry jam. Sorry, his blackberry jelly. Loved his bramble jelly. He would hang it off Mum's ironing board in a stocking over the pudding bowl, and it would separate whatever it was, and the jelly would pour into the bowl, and then he would turn the juice into jelly, I guess. I would watch the process, and I would be part of the is it setting and pouring it into the jars and stuff, but I never actually got to do it as my own thing as a parent. Dad used to buy his... Something is wrong with that. I think it's going to break. Dad would buy his marmalade mix in a massive tin, like a kilo tin, and it was basically the base for marmalade. And he would then make the marmalade for the year or two, give away jars and all that kind of thing. He was a big marmalade eater. He would put marmalade and honey on his brown bread, not at the same time, but he would eat marmalade on brown bread and would often have it just as breakfast. You know, he would either toast the brown bread that he made himself, or he would just have it on fresh bread. It was yummy. So nice. Irish brown bread. Yeah, so in some things, you know, I've got that sustainability, but I don't have my dad to fall back on as a knowledge source. Now, there are some places that you can get brambles growing here. I don't know if they're as strict. In certain places that you're not allowed spray the brambles once the flowers come on, because people will pick them. You do still get people foraging here. And mushrooms will explode out of the ground in random spots. And there are a few mushroom farms. You can actually buy, sorry, there's a drill. You can actually buy packs of mushrooms where it grows out of the bag. I would like to try that, but I have a hang up from my dad and his stories of us growing mushrooms. I was never involved in these, but apparently he tried growing them under the house one year, and the house was besieged by midgy mosquito flies, the tiny fungal flies. And he said never again. So that was my experience, or lack of experience, with mushrooms. But I love mushrooms. Sophie likes raw mushrooms, and Marcus is sick of mushrooms because I overdid it. Because I like them so much. He's not a fun guy. Haha.
Oh, gee, that's a bit rough.
Terrible pun.
Wow.
Sophie does love fruit.
But you love mushrooms.
I do. I don't like them raw. I do like them only cooked. Sophie likes them raw.
I love kiwi fruit.
You don't like kiwi fruit. You've been given kiwi fruit lately. She's got golden kiwis, I think, at the moment. And she's not a fan. She's not eating them.
I love kiwi fruit.
Oh my goodness. Well, eat them then.
Kiwi fruit.
She does love her red berries. She is a massive fan of strawberries and raspberries. And I would do raspberry canes again. I did try that in my old house. Probably wasn't enough water on them, to be honest. It was just too dry and sandy over there. And I don't know what I was doing wrong. And again, I don't have my dad as, you know, experienced fallback. You know, help! What do I do? I need a garden guru. My sister and brother-in-law have actually had 2 allotments. They started off with 1 allotment where they lived, in the town that they lived.
You don't need a garden guru, you just need somebody to do all the work for you.
Well, that too. And then they went to a second one. And this all started, I think, because the town that they lived in is actually Glenroe. It's Kilcool. And Glenroe ended up having a TV set on it because it was, you know, an Irish farming program. So in the title scene of Glenroe, it actually flies over my sister's home and the estate, because it's, you know, done in a little town in Ireland. And ooh, it's a chunk of AB. Oh, can't pick it up. Let me see if this one. Look at that. It's shiny. Yep. Don't mind me. So they were growing kind of homegrown stuff off Glenroe Farm, and then they joined the allotment, and then they got a second allotment, and she's a little bit kind of hippie, herbalist, witchy. She's my witch sister, my other one is the nun. It's just what I jokingly call them. But they had the second allotment. They were complaining that the second allotment was really soggy and wet and the drainage was really poor and blah blah blah. And I'm kind of going, I don't understand what you're talking about. They have ended up buying a property that has like an acre of land that they're going to convert, and they're going to make their own allotment on their land. I'm in awe of them doing this in their retirement. I don't think they're retired yet. She's 63, 62. But yeah, I'm really pleased for them. And their house is going to be trippy as all hell. She's the kind of person who is artsy, and they did a house conversion, and their lower bathroom, she ended up putting tiles down, and in between the tiles she put sea pebbles from the beach, and, you know, sealed it over, and it looked amazing. It was just all these artsy touches through it. It was just really, really cool. So yeah, I've got the artsy creativity in my family. She was the dress designer originally. Yeah, all kinds of cool. Alright, I'm done. And I have talked for way longer than I would normally talk. But I have a section finished. So, I did that section there. That's an hour and a half. There's maybe 2 hours left in this. We'll see how we go. So yeah, nearly there. Nearly there. I can't quite get the bottom. There we go. But just this little bit of butt and hair. And yes, we're done with the purples. That'll be a relief. Yeah. Anyway, hope you have enjoyed my rambling. And you've had plenty to think about. If you would like to see where the future plans go, then please subscribe, ring the bell. I think she's playing with Flopsy under the rug, like hiding and chattering to herself. Yeah, it's a little bit strange and cute. So yeah, subscribe and you get more craziness, and of course you get the peanut gallery too. What? Why won't they get the peanut gallery? Oh, because he's not a fun guy anymore. Oh, I've offended him. Oh dear. I'll have to go and make amends.
And I haven't got any beer.
Oh, and he hasn't got any beer. Oh well, he's just going to have to go for a drive. Alright, I'm going to go, and I will see you again on the tubes, and take care, look after yourselves, see you anon. Bye for now. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.